This is from Matthew 2, 1 to 12 from the New Revised Standard Version. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising, and we have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "Bethlehem of Judea, and so it has been written by the prophet. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, are by no means least among the rulers of Judea, for from you shall come the ruler who is the shepherd of my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. And then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child. And when you have found him, bring me word so that I may go also and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star. And they had seen it at its rising until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chest, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road.
Thank you, Roger. Thanks for sharing that. So, folks, I want to begin by saying that my favorite sweatshirt in my early 20s was black, and it had a picture of the entire Milky Way galaxy splashed across the front of it. You may have seen this sometimes. Beautiful multicolored image of the Milky Way galaxy, right? Spiral arms. And it covered the whole front, but off in the lower left front of this sweatshirt, there was a little arrow. And next to the little arrow were some words. And the arrow was pointing out to one of the outer arms of the spiral galaxy that is our Milky Way, and just pointing to a little spot there. And the words were, "You are here." There you are. There you are. That little spot, you are here. There you are. It was an image that always seemed to help me get my own life in perspective, I gotta say. Because there you are, it said, and it reminded me again and again, there you are on the vast edge of an immensity of stars in the Milky Way galaxy, far from the brilliant, dense, throbbing heart of the Milky Way galaxy, because you're out there on the edge. There you are. There's your little solar system, our solar system that seems so large and important to us. There's your itty bitty solar system. And there's an itty bitty spot, even smaller yet, that is your little small rocky planet circling a fairly minor sun in a remote corner of the galaxy, which is itself spinning through space with countless other galaxies. And it was as if the t-shirt rebuked me, saying, "So how does all your young adult drama fit into that?" It put me into a better perspective. It would say, how do you live, and how do you plan, how do you dream under that veil of stars, that immensity of space? And truth be told, my answer would be simply, well, with a little more humility than before, perhaps, and a little more grateful or my little rocky planet, and my medium-sized sun, and my little solar system sitting there out on the edge of the Milky Way. Much more grateful. There was obviously an awareness of my smallness and the shortness of my life, that I had little time in the span of numbers that astronomers use when talking about the life of the universe or the life of the Milky Way. The years I've got seems infinitesimally small. And yet in that little bit of time, I also feel as if the universe is asking me, so what are you going to do? What will you do for good? What will you do to help your little world that you love so much? How will you share the light of a million stars? I figured that anybody who looks up on a dark night, let alone who spends their life looking at the stars, anyone who does this as a study must study with a certain amount of awe. They have to be people who are comfortable with wonder. They must be filled with curiosity and, yes, humility, because the stars tell us how small we are again and again. I think the astrologers who came in search of the child because of a star were people like that, people of wonder and curiosity and humility and hopefulness. It seems to me that if you're going to be a student of the stars, or if you're going to be a student at all, seeking any deep learning, you have to have these true things. You have to have curiosity and humility and wonder and hope. You have to recognize the importance of failing and the hope that someday you will succeed. You have to be willing to be curious and ask what seem like the dumb questions, even and especially when you don't like the answers. You have to have that curiosity. And you have to be willing to find teachers who will teach you, but also will feed your ongoing hunger to learn more and more and more. These are all part of being an astronomer or a magi or an astrologer. They called them all those things, didn't they? And those travelers from far away turn out to be a lot more powerful and interesting than any Christmas card you saw as a kid, right? They weren't just carrying gold, frankincense, and myrrh, though that's what we heard were the gifts. I think they were also coming with their own weight of wisdom and humility and their own gift, and perhaps precious gift of hope. They were men, and I like to think there were women in that caravan too, who came with wonder in their hearts and questions on their lips. They go to Jerusalem and say, "Where?" Seeking answers. And then they go to Bethlehem and they carry inside themselves joy. Did you hear that? They rejoiced when the star showed them where the child was. I think as I consider these magi, these astronomers, astrologers, that they are people who really understood humility and curiosity. And they understood that it was both a challenge and a glory to live under the blanket of the stars. I like to think that this child to whom they paid their homage was also a sign of joy for them, because the message they discerned from that star and from that child is that the Holy One, the immensity that we call the creator of all, The message they discerned was that the Creator treasures this rocky little planet of ours that circles around a fairly minor sun on an outer arm of the Milky Way galaxy. Their hearts were filled with gladness because they could see not only that the Creator creates, but the Creator loves the creation. Did not just create, but loved every part of it. And their hearts are filled with gladness because they see in the gift of Jesus a child, a baby, a human like us all, that the Creator loves us enough to be with us. So even when our time is short and against the blanket of the stars, we seem to live and die like that. Even then, if we know that we are created in love, then we have more purpose than ever before. We have that hope and hopefully that humility and that curiosity that the Magi had and that we are all gifted with because the Creator loves us and has given it to us. You and I are there, you are there. But so is the child of God. So is God's own child. On that little rocky planet, surrounded by that medium-sized sun, in that little solar system, and the outer arm of the Milky Way galaxy. You are there, I am there, and Emmanuel, the Hebrew name for the Christ child, is there, God with us. We are not alone. We are not abandoned. Jesus says to us as God's messenger that we were created out of love for the creation. One of the quotes about Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew is that he is the consolation of the people Israel. He is our consolation too. In every time of hardship and sorrow like this time we are in, this time of so much death, so much confusion, so much anger, so much despair, Jesus is our consolation. He shares in our sorrows. He understands our fears because he is Emmanuel, God with us. It is a great comfort to me that I know I have such a compassionate companion in the child of God, that the love and the mercy, the understanding for our grief, and the hope that comforts us when we are most lonely, these are all the gifts of the Christ child. And I believe in a time such as this, they are given to us to strengthen us, and they are given to us so that we can share them, especially in this dark time, so that we can model, so that we can be living witnesses of the Creator's love for the creation as we live under the stars and upon the earth. Amen.